Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf instruction podcast that helps you take control of your game. Now, here's your host, the founder of Par Breakers Golf Academy and certified Golf Channel Swing Fix instructor, Bernard Sheridan.
That's where it stands today, but it's an amazing tool. It really shows, it helps me. Like literally, when I was at tour school, I got on my Purdy grip every day before I went and played, and I would get in the Purdy grip. I would look at my hands and how, because each day I don't know if I'm any different than anybody else, but my hands feel a little different every day. It might be a little swollen or a little dehydrated or more hydrated, or now I'm in Florida and the next week I'm in Phoenix. So they just feel a little different every day. So that Purdy grip really allows me to, when I check it, I can really look at my grip and go, okay, this is where I should be. And then I have confidence going into the day, and I played very nicely at second stage of tour school, and I played very nicely at finals. Really with just being able to look at my grip and that was part of my pre-shot. That was kind of one of the things. Okay, I'm going to look at my grip, make sure it's on there right, and then I'm going to get locked into the target. And that's what I did. And I feel really confident for 15, knowing that I have this security blanket under me that, okay, if I do these things, my golf game's going to be all right. So it's kind of exciting. The Purdy grip's exciting. Who knows if people are going to like it or not, but the really good Mike Adams, the teachers that understand really like it. It's helping them with their students. And I'll just tell you, Ping did a study of people's grips. And I was impressed with the study, but I was more impressed that Ping could do a study about people's grips. And what Ping found out was that, some people grip their wedge different than they grip their driver, and they grip their 7-iron, a little different than they grip their wedge. So people, they manipulate their grip through their set for some reason. And my understanding of golf, it's pretty much the same grip unless we're doing a specialty shot for every swing. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that Ping found out. Mike Adams keep me updated on what he's finding out. But the great thing is we can literally test people's grips and the effect their grip has on the club face. I took it to the Phoenix Open, and I've taken it out on the PGA Tour and the web.com, and I've tested the guys on the tours and a bunch of LPGA ladies as well. And what I found on the PGA Tour, to a man, that their grip is producing a very neutral club face relative to the force of nature. So when they speed up the club, that club is wanting to square up for them. They're not having to manipulate the club face. Like Rory McIlroy can't swing, 150 miles an hour or whatever Rory swings his 5-iron. He can't swing that fast and manipulate the club face in time to hit a perfect shot every time. So he has to allow his grip and the speed to square it up for him. So I put Kenny Perry on the Purdy grip. Well, and Kenny Perry had just won the Charles Schwab Cup. He had an amazing year last year. And I played a ton of golf with Kenny, especially when he's won. And Kenny hits a draw every time, and he hits it 4 feet all day long. You play with Kenny Perry, and you go, okay, nice shot. You hit it 4 feet again. But he hits a draw every time. When he got in the Purdy grip, his grip was perfectly neutral. So and the TrackMan has given us some tools as well, but Kenny's grip is producing a square club face. His path, because he kind of picks it up and then swings a little to the right with a club face a little closed relative to the path, and he hits a little draw, and he hits it every time. But he's hitting the draw with his path, not his grip, which I thought was amazingly interesting. Like, I thought for sure Kenny would have a little draw emphasis in his grip, but he didn't. Then I put Jim Furyk in there, and Jim Furyk, his grip was like perfectly neutral, perfectly. But you look at it, and it looks strong. And I've had conversations with other golf teaching pros going, "Oh no, Furyk's got a really strong grip," and I'm like, "It wasn't." And he does kind of a double overlap, and it looks strong, but relative to the force of nature, it's dead neutral. Jim bought 3 Purdy grips because he's like, I got to give one to my son. I got to give one to my dad. He goes, and I want one. And the reason, he goes, I know my son's grip is weak and he struggles. And he goes, I know my dad's grip is strong and he's struggling. And he goes, and then when Jim found out that his grip was perfectly neutral, he goes, yeah, I knew my grip was right. He just instinctively knew it. But Jim hits a fade. He hits a fade every time, and he's just like Kenny Perry hits it 4 feet all day long, and he just hits it right down the middle, but he hits a fade. He's hitting his fade with a little he's hitting it with his path, not his grip. So he comes a little across it, and his face is a little open relative to his path, and he hits a little fade every time. So it's, and then I put Kevin Stadler on the Purdy grip at the Phoenix Open. His grip was like perfectly neutral, and Kevin just hits it just beautiful. I mean, the guy hits it amazing, and he wins the Phoenix Open. And then I hate to bring up names, and I'm sure Joe won't mind, but Joe Ogilvy's grip was kind of shutting on him a little bit at the Phoenix Open. Well, he missed the cut. So the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm testing my buddies on tour. When I lost my PGA Tour card, my grip was shutting like 10 degrees. It was shutting horribly. And for me, that was producing, because when I sped up the club, that club face wanted to shut, I was hitting hooks. And then when I didn't want to hook it, I was blocking it right to right, because I would get ahead of it and I would hold on to it and the ball would go right to right. When I had a really strong grip, my back started hurting, my left knee started hurting. It's because I had to get into certain positions that my body didn't want to get into to square the club face. So, and what I've noticed too with the grip is that, people's finishes are different because of how they grip the club, because they have to be fit, or their body positions at impact or towards impact and towards the finish have to be a little different if their grip is producing a club face, because our subconscious mind is going to get that ball to go to the target, but it might make us do some certain things with our bodies to get that club face to square up. So, Zach Johnson has a strong grip. His impact position is different than a Jim Furyk. Jim's more upright and his spine angle kind of stays, and Zach Johnson has a little different impact position with his body because his grip is closing that club face, so he needs to keep that club face square. They're both amazing golfers, but they have to do it a different way because of how they hold the club. Another thing I'm noticing too is when you have that strong grip, personally, my back started hurting, my knee started hurting. Fred Couples, I haven't tested Fred, but my hunch is he's got a little strong grip. His back has hurt for years. Judy Rankin, really strong grip on the LPGA. She basically doesn't play golf anymore because her back hurts so bad. So, great players, but they have to do things with their body and their back to square that club face up. So those are just kind of the things that I've discovered over this 12-month journey I've been on with the Purdy grip. But it's really interesting. I love talking about it, obviously, as you can tell. And I think over time, as we're able to test the grip, there's going to be a more standard. I think there already is a standard. Like all the good golf pros in the world know that you put your hands on a certain way, but they haven't had a really good way to prove it to their student that, this grip is a great grip. And I think over time the Purdy grip is really going to help standardize the game and make it a little easier for people, make the game more fun, make it so their back doesn't hurt, so it's really exciting, and it's amazing how important the grip is. I mean, it literally leads to every other part of your swing. Ben Hogan said a good swing starts with a good grip. You name it, every great player has mentioned something about the grip. The interesting, like Jack Nicklaus, the more I get into the grip, Jack Nicklaus goes, God, the grip's easy. And he only, in his book, How I Play the Game, he only spends like a page on the grip, where Hogan spent 40 pages. Well, Jack Nicklaus thought it was easy. He goes, I just point my back of my left hand at the target and the palm of my right hand at the target. He goes, the grip's easy. So, and if you do a Jack Nicklaus grip, it is perfectly neutral relative to the force of nature. So, the grip is easy. It's just hard to. It just doesn't feel easy for people, and it's really hard to change. So.
Well, I think that what the amazing thing about this story, and that was really what you just told there was a story, and the amazing thing about the story was it all started because you went to a professional to get some advice, and he suggested grip, and that opened up this whole journey into finding out more about the grip, and then you going and having this device created, and then now after you had the device created, learning so much more with testing it with other PGA professionals and LPGA professionals, and starting to see how that's really affecting, how it's brought you back to the tour, how it's helped you, and how it can help instructors and other players, and it's an awesome thing. I know that I've seen it myself in action. I agree with the price point for most people. It would be difficult for them to spend that type of a money on something that is just for their grip. I think it's a great idea that you're taking it to China to try to get the price point down. Unfortunately for us in the United States, it's not as easy to manufacture things at a lower price point and make it available to the masses as it is in China. But I think that once that thing is out there, that not only more instructors will have it, but more individuals can have it and do just exactly what you did, whereas maybe even put it in their bag or carry it with them, and then before a round, test their grip and make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. Did you find that when you were doing that before events and things of that nature, that your grip pretty much consistently stayed the same? Or were you, like, because what you said to me was, sometimes when I'm in different places, my hands are swollen, or there's water retention, or I'm in a different temperature and environment. So were you finding that you were adjusting your hands on the grip to manipulate to make up for that? But then once you had the Purdy grip and then you tested it, you started to find that more out that way, that, oh my gosh, I'm adjusting my grip is different now.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I'm not like Jack Nicklaus, where the grip is easy. I put it on there right every time. For me, it's amazing. I'm getting to the point where I know, like, if I produce a shot on the course, if I produce a hook on the course, and I feel like I don't have a lot of tension, and I feel like I didn't manipulate it, and I hook it, I go, oh my goodness, my grip got off again. Like, for me, it's almost a shot by shot thing. I gotta really stay on top of it. And I'll be in my hotel room, and I'll just be screwing around in my hotel room, and I'll put my club in the Purdy grip, and I'll pull back, and it'll hook again. And I go, what? How can I still be hooking my club face still be hooking? And so for me, it's literally a shot by shot. It's that important for me to have the hands on there right. And I'm hoping over time, but again, it's a change, and the grip change is the hardest change to make for every amateur. Which is also a great thing about the Purdy grip, is it gives you in degrees. So if you want to, if you want to have a PGA Tour grip, and I would recommend everybody have a PGA Tour grip, but your grip right now is closing 10 degrees. Well, you can do it progressively. You can make it, okay, well, today I'm going to get it to 7 degrees. Okay, and I'm just going to move it that much, and then I'm going to play today with a 7-degree shut club head. And if I'm Zach Johnson, and that's how I win majors at 7 degrees closing club face, then that's where I want to be. So even Zach Johnson could use the tool if he starts struggling, like, oh man, I'm overhooking it or I'm underhooking it, because he's always hitting a nice little draw. And if he's not producing the shot that he wants, well, maybe his grip, because he's at Augusta and it rained, and he can check his grip in his hotel room and go, oh, okay, it was just a little off. And that's what I found. I mean, the changes are very minute with the grip, but they have huge effect on the golf ball. So it's a great tool where you can literally gradually get yourself to that PGA Tour grip.
Now, when I saw the Purdy grip with Mike Adams, he used almost like knitting needles type of a thing, they look like, to anchor the thing into the ground, so that when you created that centrifugal force, to check the grip, to see when you're at impact, and how the arms extend through impact, and the thing had to be anchored. Now, you were saying in hotel room, how can you do that with the Purdy grip in your hotel room without trying to bolt it into the floor?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of tough. Have to bring a drill with you. That I don't think they'd be too happy about that.
Yeah, literally, what I do is I take the Purdy grip that Ping made me. Has a door block where you can put it behind a door. But what I do is I just take the desk of the hotel room I'm in, and I set the desk on it, on the back of it. So when I set the desk on it, the desk is putting the weight on the tool, and you don't need to really, like, that's one of the things I'm having to educate people that buy the tool. You don't have to pull, your.
No, you just have to be extended, correct?
You just have to be extended, and you don't need a ton of torque to see the effect. And we're getting complaints from people that have. But I'm like, well, how hard were you pulling on it? Like, getting their club stuck in the tool and things like that. But so you really don't need a ton of. You can do it in your hotel room, because I put the desk on the tool, and I know I just need to have my arms extended and to feel that club head and feel the effect that the club head has on the tool. So that's how I do it in the hotel room, is just I stick the desk on it. But yeah, right now it's anchored. The model that we saw, that I've got about 20 left of, we use tent stakes, these big red tent stakes that I bought at REI. So
right.
But that's what anchors it right now, onto the driving range. And my teaching pros that have their indoor studios, we've made them an anchor that they bolt into their floor, like in the corner of their shop or wherever they are. But it's an actual anchor that bolts into the floor, and then the tool can pop in and out of that anchor. So there are ways to get it anchored indoors. But it would be a really mass marketable tool if I could figure out how to do that. You're right.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that because then people could use it like right in their home, and constantly be checking their grip all the time. So, and you mentioned that when you're out playing, you're constantly doing that. So, in other words, as a PGA professional, when you're going to strike a ball or when you're in the moment there and you're taking a shot, you're always paying attention to detail, but not getting wrapped up in that detail, correct?
Yeah, correct. And that's where, training aids help, because you can go to the putting green before the round and get on a chalk line, or you can get on the Purdy grip, and you can make 30 putts in a row on a chalk line and go, okay, I can see the line, my alignment feels good. Now I can go out on the golf course and I can trust it. I just made 30 in a row on a chalk line, so it's not just imagine that chalk line out on the golf course and the putts will roll in. And the Purdy grip training aid, same thing. Put your hands in there before you go play. Go, oh, okay, this is what my grip should look like before every shot. And then you can trust it when you get on the golf course. So those are the most valuable training aids, the ones that are simple, that can give you some trust, and the trust is to allow yourself to let go. So when you do all your training with your teacher in his studio or out on the range, you need to be able to just trust that your subconscious mind absorbed that information and you go play the game. So. And that's what happens. That's why there's a lot of range tour players, because playing the game is so much different than being on the driving range.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true, and it's I know that for a lot of my students, I try to get them to play as much as possible, so that they're not just practicing on specific just one thing. That they're immersing themselves in all different types of shots, and then when they're on the range, have them work more on the drills and the feel about what they want to do. Do you do a lot of that yourself when you're on the range? Do you do a lot of practice on the range, or is it mainly do you play a lot? I mean, everybody has different things that they do, and of course, I have you here, and I want to get as much information out of you as I possibly can, because our listeners really want to know that information from a PGA Tour pro.
Yeah. So the second stage and finals, it's very important for me to get through the qualifying school, so I have a place to play next year, and I have the opportunity to be a millionaire again on the PGA Tour. So. That's a great question. How does Ted Purdy prepare for the literally second stage was the most important tournament maybe of my career. I played, and fortunately I live in Phoenix, Arizona. There is a money game every day of the week in Phoenix. There's so many tour players, there's so many mini tour players, there's so many really good amateur players, and there's so many golf courses that every day on Mondays, there's a game at Papago. On Tuesday, there's a game at Mountain Shadows. On Wednesday, there's a game. On Thursday, I play in a game on Friday. So I'm kind of a gambling junkie. I follow those games. But that was my preparation. I literally played golf in a money game in competition every day for two or 3 weeks before I had to go to second stage. I didn't stand on the range and just pound balls. Now that I've got through tour school and I was able to get my card back and all that, I'm sure those guys, I'm going to take a couple weeks off. I'm sure those guys back home are glad that I'm not showing up today. But that's how Ted Purdy gets ready. And Rich Beam and I talked about it too a while back. That's how he gets ready. he just loves to playing games and getting a little get a little something going on the side. And one of the greatest articles, I kept it, and it's in one of my files, was before Phil Mickelson went to the NC2A finals. He went up to Desert Mountain in Phoenix, and he said to prepare for the NC2A championship, he got there, got in a golf cart at Desert Mountain, and he said he would play as many holes until he lost focus. And he goes, when he lost focus, he got in the cart. He could have been on. He said the first day he left after 7 holes. 7 holes, he lost focus. But he didn't fight it. He put his clubs on his back in his car, and he went back to school. And then the next day, he made it 12 holes before he lost focus. He said before he did that for 2 weeks prior to going to the NC2A finals. And he said by the end of it, he was playing from sun up to sundown without losing focus. And he said he just kept playing holes, And then Phil Mickelson went to NC2A finals and smoked everybody and won. So that always resonated with me. Like Phil Mickelson, the greatest golfer, one of the greatest golfers of all time. How does he prepare? He prepares by playing holes and trying to keep his focus. So I think personally that's the greatest way to do it.
Excellent advice. Advice. Great wisdom dropped on our listeners as a wrap up to what this was an incredible interview and such great insight from you, Ted. And I'm really very appreciative that you had the opportunity to be here with us today, because it's really just some major stuff here that our listeners can take away and understand and get the insight and the mindset of what it takes to play at your top level. So it's great stuff. So as we wrap this up, because what I want to do is just ask you if anyone wants to get in touch with you out there. And I don't know whether, in other words, once they're let's say they want to purchase a Purdy grip, mm-hmm. or they just want to ask you a question, how can they go about doing that?
From the website, purdygrip.com or tedpurdy.com, TEDPURDY, tedpurdy.com. Yeah, you can email me off of that. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. If anybody, I'm pretty easy to get hold of these days. So I don't know how you got a hold of me, but it through LinkedIn maybe. But if people want to hear what I have to say, I mean it's pretty consistent. So hopefully they get something from it. But yeah, anybody can contact me through the website, through LinkedIn, through Twitter, or Facebook.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the web, is that we have the opportunity to make the world a lot smaller place, and to be able to talk to each other and help each other, and this was a great help to our listeners. And thanks so much for taking the time. And we're right before Christmas here that we're taping this, so happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays.
And I saw that you're where you are is a beautiful place, and it's probably a great place to spend the holiday, and so I hope that you and yours enjoy it very much.
Yeah, we're up here at Rainbow Lake, Arizona.
It's beautiful. It's a
place.
Beautiful area.
Yeah.
Beautiful area. Well, thanks again, Ted. And as we say it at Breaking Par, try to keep it in the short grass.
That's right. Hey, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Take care.
Talk to you soon.
All righty.